Hello singers, welcome back to the weekly warm-up. I'm Laura, and here I love to share clear, fun voice education to help you improve your singing and enjoy it more. Today we're going to talk about our shoulders. Now, while we cannot take air into our shoulders, we don't have vocal cords in our shoulders, but our shoulders participate, sometimes more than we want them to, in our singing. Of course, we sing with our whole bodies, but the shoulders are really a place that singers either unintentionally, maybe with a high shallow breath, or intentionally sometimes by pinching the shoulder blades back, we get really tangled up in our shoulders. And so today I want to just show you a few ideas and explorations that you can use to both get a much freer, more open, fuller breath, potentially to help you with your alignment so that you don't feel that you have to pinch your shoulder blades back just to stand up straight, and also to help you manage the challenge of holding a choral folder. Folder shoulder is real. We get very, very tired all through the neck and the shoulders when we have to hold a choral folder for a long time. So I'm hopeful that the work that we do today can help you renegotiate your relationship with your shoulders. Let's get into it. Okay, singers, let's begin by mapping our shoulder. So by mapping, I am referring to your body map, your mental idea of how your body is constructed and how it functions. I've mentioned body mapping before. Unfortunately, if you have a misunderstanding about how your shoulder is constructed, then it is likely that you are moving it in a way that is at least inefficient, and at worst, potentially injury causing or tension causing. So let's figure out how our shoulder is actually constructed. Our shoulder is a part of the arm structure, and it is not the beginning of the arm structure. The shoulder actually is in the middle of the arm structure because your arm structure is actually jointed to the rest of your skeleton here. At these little knobs, that's where your collarbones begin. And you can actually feel, if you kind of palpate out along your collarbone, that bone goes all the way out to this bony stuff at your shoulder. So where is the shoulder joint exactly? I think a lot of us would say, if I had to point to where my shoulder joint is, a lot of us might think right here, like where you might have a seam on your shirt, or where Barbie's shoulder is jointed, right? Think about the way that her shoulder is jointed there, and then the whole thing just kind of spins around. But if you actually put a hand on the collarbone and move your arm, you can already feel that the collarbone is part of that unit. It's really implicated in all movement of the whole arm. And if we want to find where the actual rotational part of the joint, the shoulder joint is, then we're going to have to find it on the shoulder blade. So I want you to, again, palpate. You can do this on either side, of course. Feel back here and find your shoulder blade and see if you can find the kind of bony part of it, right? There's like a bony ridge. And if I follow that out here, I will find a really like bony point. So I'll put a little illustration over here so that you can see what that looks like in the skeleton. But right beneath that really pointy point is where the shoulder is actually jointed. So if you can actually imagine, and when I say the shoulder is jointed, that's really unclear language. Beneath that point is where the humerus, the upper bone of the arm, is actually coming into that kind of socket, although it's a very shallow socket, which is why you can dislocate your shoulder so easily. Did you know that? All right, so here we've got that bony point. So the important thing for today is that you find where that bony point is, because if you previously thought, oh, look at this wrinkly t-shirt. If you thought before that your shoulder was jointed here, and you're now coming to understand that it's actually jointed here, then you have now grown this much, 3 inches, maybe more, on this side. Now, over here, if we do the same thing, so now we've got like this much added width to what we are actually conceiving in our minds as our torso, right? Like this is contiguous to here, not to here. And I am telling you, I know this might just seem like some kind of fussy cerebral thing, but if you can actually start to think about your shoulders as going all the way out to here, and that here is where the movement of the arm begins. You now have this much more width in your body to expand into with your breath. Okay, so I've just established by looking at the illustration of my skeleton, by feeling with my fingers where things actually are, I have now remapped that my shoulders are not here, but here, meaning that my torso feels now like it's not this wide, but this wide, okay? So what I'm going to do to help me feel this extra space in terms of my breathing is I'm gonna take two big poofy socks. So I've got these big slipper socks. You can actually use, multiple pairs of smaller socks, whatever it is. And we're just gonna make a little cushion. So I like these because they fold really well into a little cushiony shape. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one under each arm. So because now when I have these under my arms, my upper arms are not kind of glued to the sides of my body. I now can really feel in the way that I'm standing that my shoulders are all the way out here and not here. And so in this position, I'm going to just take a breath and feel my ribs expanding. I've done whole videos before on feeling that intercostal breath. We've done a lot of work with hands on the ribs. And I always can feel that expansion with my hands, but this exercise helps me so much more to actually feel it internally with my sense of kinesthesia, to just feel my ribs moving. And of course, I can do that whole series that I showed you in that other video. I can breathe and sigh. No. I can sing any pattern I want. I can even just, if it's comfortable, keep these tucked in during my whole practice. But what I'm feeling right now is that my body, especially where I want to take breath in, is wider than I had previously thought. And feeling that space under the arms is allowing me to really move into that space with my breath. Another thing you might use if you don't have socks or if this feels more comfortable is to use a pool noodle. So you can either put this around the back like this. You can actually put it in the front like that. In my body, the socks are more comfortable, but anything that's going to allow you to feel that whole upper arm structure from the collarbones all the way out to where those shoulder joints are, that is really broad, and that it's kind of able to open to the sides and really release down. That is going to help you to feel that width and to really be able to take that breath in without compressing under the arms or between the shoulder blades. I also want to take a moment to think here about alignment or posture. Some people are not using that term anymore. I'll just call it alignment for now. But if you have been told that the way to have straight posture is to pinch your shoulder blades together, then I really want you to try this. Get yourself some socks and put them in your armpits, because in order to be broad across the front, we do not have to pinch the back. This is not kind of a situation where if you're looking down at your shoulder girdle from the top, you don't necessarily have to like pinch this way to get the front open. You can also just move this way. So we can spread our collarbones nice and wide without pinching in the back, and allow the shoulder blades to really sit into the back and be nice and wide. So if we want to stay broad, not slump, stay open without pinching the shoulder blades together, what can we do? Well, we know now that the arm unit starts here. So a wonderful trick that I learned from a violinist, I love this, is make a little chicken wing with your elbow, if your rotator cuff will allow you to do this, and just take that elbow up next to your face and just keep that there for a moment, and then lift up the arm. Put your palm out, so my palm is now facing outward, and then as I lower the arm, I'm going to kind of keep it on a backward track, so lowering it, keeping it behind my body, and then releasing. And now what I can feel is that on this side, the whole collarbone structure is more rotated up this way. So rather than just jamming it backward, I've now rotated it up so that it can be broad, but also kind of seated into the back. And now I'll do the same on the other side. I like to keep the other hand here just so I can feel that collarbone rotation. So make your chicken wing, take it up by the ear, extend the arm, put the palm out, and then lower it on that kind of backward track of movement. And now I feel that my shoulders are open. My shoulder blades are nice and flat into the back, but they are not squeezed together. And now I can really feel that nice open breath side to side. So now let's talk about folder shoulder. Folder shoulder is simply the soreness and pain in the neck and the shoulder that a lot of singers experience from holding up a heavy score or a choral folder or an iPad through long rehearsals and performances. It is really easy for this to happen, especially because we're frequently really cramped. Rehearsals are long, we're not moving a lot, and so we tend to kind of draw the body in, and one of the first places that we compress our bodies is really drawing in those upper arms really tight against the rib cage, which is obviously going to impede our ability to expand with breath. And then when we hold those elbows in really tight, we also might be shunting the hips forward to compensate for that weight. So let me show you here, I've got a folder. So let's say this one is empty, but if I was holding this and this was really heavy, I might really squeeze in my elbows, and right now I almost have my elbows kind of sitting onto the bones of my pelvis, and then I'm gonna slouch forward like this so that I am now allowing some of the weight of the folder to go down through my forearms, through my elbows, into the pelvis. It seems like it might be an efficient choice, but it is not. What we want to do is actually just allow the muscles of the arms to do their work, to deliver that weight through the whole of the arm structure to where it is jointed to the rest of the torso, so that that weight can come into our strong torso, our strong spine, the weight delivery mechanism of the full body, so that that weight can move down into the floor while not restricting our ability to expand our breath, our ability to stand comfortably, our ability to keep our neck muscles released. So again here, I would use those socks. I would pop them here into my armpits, and now immediately when I pick this up, I can feel that I am not cramming in those elbows into the body. I am holding the folder now more with my arms. And because I just have a little more space in my body in general, I am able now to better ascertain whether I am coming forward or back in the hips, but I can actually find that balance so that here I'm able to expand my breath fully and hold the folder with my arms. If I'm in a cramped riser, maybe I have to hold it up a little bit more this way, but not this way. So this is something that has really improved my singing experience. You know, when a stand is not available and I have to hold my folder for a long time, I make sure that I'm keeping that space under the arms. And for me, the best way to train it is to practice at home, holding the folder with the socks or some kind of cushion under the arms, so that when I get to performance, I'm really used to feeling that spacious relationship between the elbow and the ribs, and that expansion of the ribs in the whole upper body. So singers, that's it. I hope that this exploration helped you to find a little more space in the ribs for some breath, a little more release in your straight alignment so that you don't feel like your shoulder blades are pinned together, maybe a little bit more efficiency in the way you hold your choral folder. I know that opening up this area of my body has had a lot more effect on my singing than I thought it would. So I hope it was useful for you. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you singing with me. If you'd like to hear from me before the next video comes out, be sure to sign up for the newsletter. There is a link in the description box. And in the meanwhile, thank you for practicing.